Good morning. Today we are starting Unit 7, Lesson 1, and this is all going to be about statistics. So the first thing that we're going to do is define these key words and phrases, all right? So I have uploaded a copy of my printed notes already, but let's go ahead and talk about what each of these means. So let me find a sheet of scratch paper. Okay. So the mean is the average of the data. So what we're going to do is add up all the numbers and divide by how many numbers there are. The median is the middle number. To identify this middle number, we need to take our whole list of data and put them in order from smallest to largest. The mode is the number that occurs the most. Hopefully you remember these three words. Range. The range is the difference in the numbers from the highest down to the lowest, and we subtract that. High minus low will give you the difference. And then the mid-range is the average of the minimum number and the maximum number. So we're going to take two numbers, add those together, and to get their average, we divide by 2 because there was two numbers. And finally, the interquartile range is the difference between the first and third quartiles. And I've highlighted this because when we start discussing interquartile range, I'm going to highlight it in our data set when we're talking about it, okay? So let's go ahead and use this information and start to work our way through our histogram practice. So what you can do is go ahead and print this set of notes. I've uploaded it for you and you can just fill it in. Or if you don't have a printer, you can just copy these notes down on your own sheet of paper. It's important that you have these notes while you're completing your practice so they can help you out. All right, so let's go look at practice number 1. Okay. So 16 students took a geometry test in Mr. Parker's class last week. Complete the following using the scores from the test. Okay, so what I've done here is I've taken all these 16 test scores and I've put them in order from smallest to largest. So I looked through here and I said 30 was the smallest score, so I put 30 and then I marked it out. And I said, what's the next largest score after 30? And it was a 68. So I put 68 on the list and then I marked it out. And then 70 and marked it out. Okay, so it's easy to rearrange these numbers in order from largest to smallest. Now let's try to find the mean. The mean is going to be taking all of these numbers, adding them up in our calculator. Okay, so it would be 30 plus 68 plus 70. We're going to add them all up, and when we do that, the number that we're going to get is 1,321. All right, maybe that helps, not very much. Okay, so that's going to be the number that we get. So let's go ahead and write this down. 1,321 when we added all the numbers. Okay, now to find the average of them, we need to divide by how many numbers there are. So because there's 16 numbers, we're going to divide by 16. So in my calculator, I click divide by 16, and I get 82.56. So let's just round that to the tenths place. So it would be 82.6. All right, so there's my average. Let's find the median. The median is going to be the middle number. Okay, so if I start with, let's see, 1 high and one low. Okay, so let's watch how I do this. So there's one on top, one on bottom, one on top, one on bottom, and I'm just getting an equal number from top to bottom until I get to the middle. So I've accounted for all these numbers on the outside. They each have a match. Now, I actually have two numbers in the middle. These are my two middle numbers. So what I need to do, now they happen to be the same number, but if they're not the same number, what you would do is add them together and divide by 2. And in this case, 88 plus 88 divided by 2 is still going to be 88. Okay? Our mode, which number occurs the most? So I see 3 88s, and then I also see 3 90s. So we actually have two numbers that occur the most, 88 and 90. So we've got two answers for this one. And then our range. For our range, let me switch colors again. For our range, we need to take the largest number, which is 99, and we are going to subtract the smallest number, which is 30. 99 minus 30 is going to give me 69. Okay? It's going to give me 69. Now, there is one here that we have not been asked to find, and that is the mid-range. And I want us to add this here. How do we find the mid-range? The mid-range is going to be to take the largest number, which is 99, and the smallest number, 30, add them together and divide by 2. So 99 plus 30 divided by 2 gives me 64.5. All I did was put that in my calculator. And that represents the mid-range, okay? So that we know how to find those first 5 vocabulary words. Mean, median, mode, range, and mid-range. There's 5 things that we just found. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about some other vocabulary words. So, what does it mean to be an outlier? Okay, an outlier is a number that sits very far outside the data. Okay, a number outside the data. It's furthest from all the others. Not every set of data has an outlier. So if you had to look at this list of data, again, it's still along the side here, do you think that there's an outlier? And I'm going to tell you that the answer is yes, there is an outlier. Can you determine which number it is? And it is going to be the number 30. Somebody got an extremely low score compared to everybody else. All right. All right, next question is, how did the outlier affect the central tendency and the spread? Okay, so what we would do is we would find all the information again, mean, mode, median, and range without the outlier included. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I'm going to have you pause the video. I want you to take the number 30 out of this list. And now that we have found mean, median, mode, range, and mid-range on as a group together, I want you to do it again minus the number 30. Just use these numbers that are not marked out. So please pause the video and find mean, mean, median, mode, range, and mid-range. Find all that again, okay, without the 30. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and find those. Okay, so welcome back. Hopefully you were able to use your calculator and come to the same conclusions that I did about the mean, median, I forgot that in, mode, range, and mid-range. Okay, I've just used my calculator and I repeated the same process that we did up above. Now what we're going to do is we are going to see how each number changed. Okay, so mean from 82.6 to 86.1, what happened? And the mean increased. What about the median number, the middle number? It was 88 and now it's 88, so it's the same. The mode stayed the same. The range went from 69 to 31. It decreased. And then the mid-range went from 64.5 to 83.5. To get this number, I had to do 68 plus 90 and divide by 2. Okay, and so this number increased. All right, so that is my central tendency and my spread. Okay, the central tendency is kind of the middle, and that increased. The spread would be the range and mid-range, and the range or total spread decreased. Okay, but the mid-range increased. All right. So an outlier is, and we already kind of wrote that here, it's a number outside of the data set, okay? All right, great job. Now what we're going to do is we're getting ready to go to the other side of our paper where we're going to take all this kind of information and we're going to get to visualize, okay, what increases and what decreases by looking at a box and whisker plot. Now, doing a box and whisker plot by hand is something that you learned how to do in middle school. We're going to learn how to do it using our TI-84 calculator. All right, so let's go ahead and copy our notes for box and whisker plots. These are the steps in our calculator. All right. And so what I've done here is I've taken our data set from our 16 quiz scores and I've included them in this box and whisker plot to give you an idea of how things fall in, okay? The median, the middle number was 88, the maximum is 99, the minimum value is 30, okay? And then I found the lower quartile and upper quartile, and we're going to find those when we put our box and whisker plot into the calculator. So go ahead and copy those notes very quickly. I'm going to find my cell phone so I can use that as my graphing calculator so that you can see it better. Okay. All right, so we are going to go ahead to the other side of our notes and we are going to put these calculator notes to good use, okay? So let me just get this set up so that we can all see it. So this is our example number 2. Example number 1 was on the other side with our 16 sets of numbers. Okay? All right. So what we're going to do here is we are going to, in our calculator, we are going to enter all of this data into L1. So what I'd like for you to do in your graphing calculator is to go to stat, and then enter, and we're going to edit all this data into L1. So 12, let's see, 10, 17, I think that is a 1, a 28, 7, 9, 10, 14, 20, 22, and 10. Okay, so I've gotten all these in my calculator. Now we're going to do step 2, which is to go to second, and then y equals. Okay, and we are going to hit enter, enter. So we've turned on our stat plot, and then what we need to do is come down and go over to the right. We want to choose this fourth option, which is box and whisker plots, and then I'm going to hit enter. Okay, make sure here that your L1 list is what's being used. Okay, and now what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to hit zoom, and remember the option for statistics is right here. Zoom stat is number 9. And then it's immediately going to graph this for me and show me my box and whisker plot. So what information is provided in this box and whisker plot? To get the 5-number summary is what this is called. I want you to hit the trace button right here next to graph. And so I know that my median is 11. So let me move my calculator over, and we're going to fill in our 5-number summary. So my median is 11. Go to the right. My quartile number 1 is 7. That's also my lower quartile. Okay. I'm sorry, it's not 7. What is it? 9.5. Okay. Go down again. My minimum value is 1. Was that supposed to be a 7? No. Okay. Let's go back to the right. My upper quartile, number 3, quartile 3 is 18.5. And then my maximum is 28. Okay. And what we could do is we can go ahead and create a graph, our own box and whisker plot of this information. Okay. Now we could do this by hand, but what I'm going to have us do is do it in our calculator. So what they want me to do is figure out what is the outlier. Okay. Whatever number is the outlier of the data, we need to take it out of the data. So looking at these numbers up here, which one is the outlier? Further away, the 1 or the 28? 1, and then the next number up is 7. Okay. And then I've got a 22, and the next number up is 28. So that's 6 away. 1 and 7 is 7 away. So let's take out our outlier that is the number 1. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do in my calculator now. I am going to go back to stat, edit, and I'm going to go over to L2, and I am going to retype all this data, but I'm going to leave out the number 1. Now I've got a second data set. So what I'm going to do is go to second y equals. Now because I'm dealing with my second data set, I'm going to go down to 2. Okay, second data set, use the number 2. We're going to hit enter, enter to turn it on again. Go down to type and over again to my box and whisker plot. Now this box and whisker plot, I need to change it to L2. So you can do that by selecting second 2. Okay. And notice that the color of this is going to be red. All right. Let's again hit zoom 9. And so now I have 2 data sets. Blue is the original, red is my new set of data. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to give the new 5-number data set, okay? But let's talk about first, okay, the inner spread. Did that increase or decrease? The inner spread is this box right here, okay? And you can see that from here to here, that box got bigger. So my the central tendency increased. Okay. What about the overall spread of the data? What happened to that? So the overall spread of the data, you can see that from here to here, this whisker got a lot shorter, but they still end in the same place. So my spread decreased. It got smaller. Okay, my spread got smaller. Now, how do we find the mean? The mean is the one thing that was not included in my 5-number summary. So to find the mean or the average of the data, what we're going to do is we're going to need to tell my calculator to give it to me. So let's go see where we do that. We're going to do second stat. I'm going to go over to math, over to, and then I'm going to hit enter. Now look, you can find the minimum, you can find the maximum, you can find the average or the mean, you can find the median, you can find the sum of all the numbers, you can find the standard deviation right here, you can find the variance. You can find everything by coming over to this math button. Okay, so to find the mean, I'm going to hit math. And so I have to choose, do I want to find the mean for the first list of numbers or the second list? So for the first list, I would hit second 1 to bring up L1. Okay, so the first mean was 13.3. Let's find the second one. So second stat, over to math, go down to mean, and this time I'm going to do second 2 for L2. Okay, and so I can see that when I took out the outlier, the mean increased by a little bit more than 1. All right, fantastic job. So that is everything in your graphing calculator. All right, all righty. So that is our short lesson for today. And I may end up doing another example during one of our Google Meets with you all, okay? So good luck, call or ask for help if you need me, all right? And until next time.